the story out of The Athletic today is nothing new. It is nothing new, but it is a deep dive by a reporter who knows the team that he's covering and the situation. Jeff Schultz talking about the Falcons may trade Julio Jones, so let's clear up the misconceptions why. They have a major cap problem. They can't pay their rookies right now.
Major.
They're so over the cap right now, which has been contracted due to COVID-19 last year contracting revenue for the NFL, that they can't pay their rookies. They can't pay Kyle Pitts, who they got for Matt Ryan. And, you know, I know we've had fun with the Pitts-tastic four, the Matt-tastic four, whatever we want to call it, because it is fantastic. I mean, you got Julio Jones, you got Calvin Ridley, and you got Kyle Pitts and Matt Ryan.
That's a problem.
That's a problem for a lot of teams. But the problem is the Falcons I don't know if they can field that team unless somebody takes a pay cut. They've already redone Ryan's contract as Schultz walks everybody through it. And that there are, outside of just cutting a bunch of starters, which they don't want to do, because you cut the starters, you can't win now. You have a problem maybe winning now anyway under the current construct, even with that terrific foursome. He points out there's only two players left to create cap space. One of them is Julio Jones, who's 32, who has a little bit of problem, as we know, staying healthy, being on the field all 16 games. Anybody who has Julio Jones in fantasy, and I know this is not a fantasy world, this is a reality world, will tell you the number of times that he catches the ball in the end zone diminishes with each passing year. And the other one is their best defensive player in Grady Jarrett. Good luck figuring out that Rubik's Cube. And that's why they have to figure it out. This is going to come. And this has been a conversation that's been going on for a few weeks, to the point where I had Arthur Smith a couple of weeks ago after the draft, the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. I essentially said to him, I know you're just the HC. When you ask a salary cap question to the head coach, like, even if the head coach might be fully up to speed, you're allowing them the ability to basically say, well, it's just not my bail. I only coach the coach in front of me, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, look, I know you're just the HC, but there's a word that Julio Jones might be a cap casualty. And the reason why this is a conversation, particularly right now, is because June 1 is when the cap casualties will be out there, because June 1 is a date on the NFL calendar after which the cap hit that you take by trading someone away or cutting them is lessened. Here's what Arthur Smith had to say to that answer question. You plan on him being there at the disposal of your offense, your quarterback, Kyle Pitts, because, I mean, the thought of him and Ridley and Pitts and obviously, Hayden Hurst and Matt Ryan and your running back core, that's a hell of a core that you're going to create all sorts of matchup problems. So you expect Julio to be out there this fall?
I'm not going to predict the future. It's like when you're sitting there trying to predict the weather here.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. I mean, the cap is what it is. We know that. That's why, Terry and I are sitting here, and I'm sitting here talking to you. There's a lot of ways to get under the cap. But, all options are on the table. But I'm not going to give you some hot take today and tell you something that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that Arthur's like, okay, you're going to ask me that question right here, and I could be with my general manager figuring this stuff out. That's a way that you tell your interviewer, yeah, I'm not particularly keen on the question. So here it is, rubber meeting the road. Next couple of weeks makes total sense that they would be knocking on people's doors. Who wants Julio Jones? Who wants Julio Jones? $14 million, age 32, sometimes has a problem staying on the field. Who wants that? Would you take him into New England right now, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely.
In a heartbeat, right?
Heartbeat. And we got the room.
According to Jeff Schultz, he looks at the teams that would have the cap room to take on somebody like that, although we checked some of these cap numbers. I don't know where he's getting his figures from accurately. Maybe has a different set of figures. Ravens, 49ers, Patriots, Colts, Chargers. Put him on any of those teams. Chargers, he makes a playoff team, I think. Yep. You put him out there with Keenan Allen and you give him a spot, Justin Herbert, to go running, right? Ravens, boy, do they need him in the worst way. They need a player like him. That's exactly who they're missing. 49ers. Could you imagine that?
Jeez.
Another physical guy like that?
Just another one. Just add it to the list that they've already
One that's out there that's not there, even though it's a cap problem, but they seem to always figure this stuff out. They'll figure it out. The Rams. Don't you think the Rams could use somebody like him? Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Julio Jones. This kid Van Jefferson from last year too.
Well,
Cam Akers, Matthew Stafford. I know everyone could, but like for instance, Green Bay. What better way to just say to Aaron Rodgers, here, wet kiss.
Oh my God.
Can we get back together? Can you be all right? How's that? There's Julio, there's Devontae Adams. Let's go to work.
Could you imagine that?
That's what I'm saying. Like we could all use that, but
the problem is it's unrealistic.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Green Bay's over the cap right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like who don't you think that would fix everything with Aaron Rodgers right now? How about this for win right now? We have totally mortgaged our cap totally. We got $14 million. Here's Julio Jones to go with Devontae Adams. Now you do your thing. Wouldn't that be a great answer to this? As we're wondering, how does it get fixed?
Yeah, the Titans are a team mentioned, but they only have, according to overthecap.com, $400 and change $1,000 in cap space.
You also have to sit here and figure $14 million for a wide receiver who might not play half the year.
It's a lot.
Who's going to miss a third of the season? Because that's what he's proven. You might just say, you know what? I'm not interested. That could be the problem too. Is the market could be limited.
Any chance they just cut him? You think?
No way.
Not without getting something in return. I mean,
no way. There's got to be something.
They got a second-round pick 2 years ago from New England for Mohamed Sanu, and when you can get Julio Jones, I mean,
I don't think they're going to get a 1 for him.
They're in the market for a high 2, so you got to see who has that available to move.
That's all going down right now. The same way they were saying, hey, if Rodgers is going to get traded, if the Packers really will consider trading him, if they're really going to do that, the phone calls come now. So June 1st, here we go.
Yep.
Get somebody in right away. Let's go. Right in the building, right in the system. We want to get it done before training camp. Keep an eye on all that.
Yeah, Colts on that list. They have tons of cap space.
No, I'm sure they do. And that would be a nice, terrific addition to go with T.Y. Hilton and Pittman and the rest of that core with the running backs and Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack. And this is a way for okay, Carson.
Let's go, buddy.
You wanted it. You got it. There's the offensive line that you wanted. Here's the coach that you always succeeded at, and that's now Julio Jones. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.